Hello, I'm David Bryant, and I'm delighted to be associated with this programme, The Story of Bowls. We have clips from the World Championships and Commonwealth Games and grainy footage from the dim and distant past. We even have clips of my national championships at Paddington and Mortlake. Who better to take you through the story of bowls than my long-time pairs partner, the well-known BBC Bowls broadcaster, the voice of bowls, David Rhys-Jones.
In part one, we're going to concentrate on how bowls started as an outdoor sport. Then we're going to look at some of the great moments, the Jack High Masters, the Commonwealth Games, the World Outdoor Championships. And then in part two, we're going to look to see how it's developed and modernised and moved indoors. It's appropriate that David Bryant, who has won the world singles title indoors 3 times and 3 times outdoors, plus 5 Commonwealth Games gold medals, has agreed to share with us his experiences, memories and views on the sport. We're here in David's hometown of Clevedon, the place where he started playing bowls as a teenager and where he still plays at the age of 71.
Clevedon's a very, very special place for me because I was born and bred in Clevedon, and you know, I've always been connected with the town and everything I've done in sport, virtually. And my grandfather was a founder member of the Clevedon Bowling Club, and my father joined when he was 16. And eventually I joined when I was 16, but I started playing bowls at a very early age. I was about 7. My first title was the first year I started playing bowls at Clevedon Club, and not when I was 16 years of age. I played on the Promenade Green before that, but my father wouldn't let me join the Clevedon Bowling Club because it had licensed premises, and he said, when you're 16, you can join.
Why couldn't I have done that?
I was going to lick my fingers then to take the choke mark off. I think you can get out of bowls exactly what you want to get out of it. I think you can play it competitively, but the whole bowling fraternity are absolutely superb in my opinion. I think it's a wonderful game to play. It's got everything.
So let's start at the beginning with some facts that might surprise you. The Egyptians, they say, started playing with knuckle bones, a game which is probably more connected to our modern day marbles. But that was the forerunner of all sports that involve a rolling ball. Bowls, boule, pétanque, 10-pin bowling and all forms of skittles.
Yes, I've played skittles for many, many years. When quite recently the Clevedon Promenade Bowling Club had a new pavilion, and I found them skittling one night down there, and I said, well, I used to play skittles, I would mind joining. So they say, well, please come along, and I'm very pleased to say that I go there regularly and I enjoy a game of skittles and a few drinks, and well, there's the same kind of camaraderie in skittles as there is in bowls. It's a wonderful night out.
In the Dark Ages, it's said that the barbarians used to indulge in an activity not unlike bowls. After a presumably successful battle, they'd cut the heads off their opponents and roll them at the nearest handy object. And you know, there's something very primitive about throwing and hitting a target. When kids go on the beach, what do? They pick up a pebble and throw it to see if they can hit that rock. Bowls was played by a succession of monarchs, and there is a Royal Household Bowls Club in the grounds of Windsor Castle to this day.
Where at the Miners' Welfare Centre, the Queen is invited to test her aim on the bowling green. Her Majesty sends down a wood that would please many a professional.
Some say bowls was illegal in 1588, when Sir Francis Drake made sure that bowls was recorded in the annals of English history. Everyone knows the story of how Drake dallied on Plymouth Hoe, audaciously finishing his game of bowls before taking on the Spanish Armada. The fact that some historians maintain that it was all fiction makes no difference. It's a great story. Of course, if the story is true, Drake's bowls would have been biased. That means shaped to run in a curve. Now we know this because William Shakespeare, who must have played bowls, often referred to bias. I'm often asked, what was the origin of bias?
Well, the tale goes that Charles Brand, the Duke of Suffolk, was playing a game of bowls in Goole in Yorkshire, and they must have been getting fairly close to the jack because there was a lot of firing that took place, and one fellow was, you know, really having a go, and he was putting it down with such force that one of the bowls fell in half. And that they were, you know, quite devastated. They wondered what to do, and all of a sudden somebody had a brilliant idea, and he disappeared into the building, and he took a saw with him, and he sawed off the balustrade at the bottom of the staircase. And he came out and he continued playing with this bowl. But suddenly he realised he had an advantage because this bowl inscribed an arc, and he could get round the bowls that were in front of the jack. So he was using this to good advantage, and obviously it caught on, because after that everybody wanted a set of bowls like that.
It's away to a flying start with the opening of the English Championship. Now is the time when all good men of the woods should come to the aid of the little jack. Practically every county has sent a contingent, and most of the players seem to be getting a run for their money. Hold it. It's difficult not to show a little bias.
And another question we get asked regularly is, why is the little white ball called the jack?
It can be Kitty, Kate, Cot, Pot, or even White, but I think the most widely used is Jack.
Before bowls was refined into a proper game, there was another activity which involved the throwing of stones along country lanes. It was called jactu lapidum. From the Latin, jactu to throw, lapidum meaning stone. That's what the origin of the word jack is, or so people say, but nobody knows for sure. Bowls didn't have a general and universal set of rules until halfway through the 19th century, 1849 to be precise, when a Scottish solicitor, William W. Mitchell, drew up a code of laws of the game.
Yes, William Mitchell's new laws of the game really sort of unified bowls in Scotland and did so much for encouraging the game to develop. And of course, following on from that was the formation of the Scottish Bowling Association in 1892. And Scotland, I suppose, really were the forerunners.
It wasn't long before the sport experienced its biggest boom, and there was one man who was particularly influential in the formation of the English Bowling Association in 1903. Not a lot of people in bowls, or outside bowls for that matter, are aware of the role played in the development of the sport by one of the world's greatest cricketers. Almost single-handedly, the famously bearded and formidable cricketing doctor founded the English Bowling Association in 1903, and he represented England in the first 6 home international series between 1903 and 1908. WG was also keen on developing the sport as an indoor activity, and was largely responsible for the formation of one of the first indoor bowls clubs at Crystal Palace. But bowls was also recognised as a good exercise, and played its part as a therapy for soldiers returning from the front during the First World War. The first chapter of the modern era and the emergence of the sport's most prodigious talent came in 1962, when David Bryant won 2 gold medals at the Commonwealth Games in Perth. Winning the fours with Tom Fleming, Leslie Watson and Sid Drysdale, he won all 13 games to take the singles title in style. David has happy memories of Perth.
The first Commonwealth Games was 1962. It wasn't until 1958 that, how can I put it, good sides were selected to go to the Commonwealth Games, because it was usually people who could afford to pay their fare. But bowls moved forward a little bit in 58 when the team was selected to play at Cardiff, and our fours did very well, and they actually won the gold medal. In 1962, I had won the British Isles singles in 61 and got back into the international side because I had been dropped. And in 62, we did very, very well in the internationals. We played the 3 games against Scotland, Ireland and Wales, and I think we were plus 60 shots or something in that region, which was a very good performance. And I also won the British Isles singles the same year. And they decided, they picked the 4 of us to go to Perth. And of course Perth was very, very special. I suppose it was a market town in those days more than a city, although it was called the City of Lights because Colonel Glenn crossed over there in his spaceship, and we saw the lights. It was the City of Lights, but we heard about it. But when we arrived, we were absolutely captivated. It was such a beautiful place with the Swan River, and the greens were magnificent, and it was very, very blowy and wet. I remember when we arrived. They'd never known temperatures so low. They were in the lower 50s, but by the time we came home, the temperature had gone up to 102. And we were playing bowls in that kind of heat, and I remember we were bowling our bowls and going under the stand to shelter, then starting going down to playing the next lot of bowls. Because at that time I was playing second and Tom Fleming was leading, and Sid Drysdale and Leslie Watson were third in skip, and we were the front end, so we could get off the green and get in the shade.
The absence of bowls from the Commonwealth Games in 1966, because there are no bowling greens in Jamaica, was thought to be a big blow to the sport. But it turned out to be a blessing in disguise.
Well, the first World Championships in '66 took place purely and simply because bowls wasn't in the Commonwealth Games in Jamaica. Bowls had been in the Commonwealth Games right from the beginning, back in the 30s. But there were no greens in Jamaica, so there were no bowls. So the Australians felt so strongly about it that they decided that they would like to hold the World Championship. So it was talked about at International Bowling Board level, and it was decided that they should go ahead, and they held the actual event at Kaima in Sydney. And I was delighted to go along. I was at my first World Championship, and they did it so well. It was a brilliant tournament. I can't remember exactly how many teams took part, but it was a round robin in those days. It wasn't a knockout, and I managed to win the singles.
The green is very fast this afternoon, and that one looks a little thin. Bryant is usually at his best when the green is a bit merry.
Yes, Australian and New Zealand. New Zealand greens are even quicker. I just like fast bowling greens, and I now feel that I play much better bowls indoors than I do out.
In 1970, when the Commonwealth Games was held in Edinburgh, it was business as usual for bowls, and David was at it again, winning the singles title for the second time. Now, grassroots bowlers may be interested to learn that on his way to the title, he committed one of the cardinal sins of bowls.
I bowled a wrong bias in Edinburgh in the games in 1970. It was a very, very tight game. I was playing an Irish international named Roy Fulton, who at that time was a very fine player and had a very fine record in British Isles Championships. I always knew it was going to be a hard game, but 3 parts of the way through the game, when we were fairly tight, Roy had won the end, and he put up a longish jack, and he bowled off, got a bowl quite close to the jack. I put a bowl down, and I was narrow, and I went across perhaps a yard jack high. Roy drew another one. I then decided that I had to correct my green, so I gave it a bit more green, and to my horror, the bowl ran straight. It didn't come back at all. Roy drew a third shot, and I was now in dead trouble. I thought, well, I've got to get this right, and I very, very deliberately placed myself on the mat, got my feet lined up, absolutely perfect. Got the bowl away, spot on the point of aim which I intended, only to see it drive an arc in the wrong direction. I bowled a wrong bias. Of course, Roy draws another one. I've now got the last bowl to play, and he's holding 4 shots, and that's game. That's good enough. So all I could do was do exactly the same as I'd done with the third bowl, but make sure I had the right bias. And thankfully, I put it right on top of the jack. And was I relieved? I was absolutely ecstatic because I was gone if it hadn't been good.
The notion of a World Championship had by this time been firmly established, and the second World Bowls was held in Worthing in 1972, with David defending his title. It was not a good campaign for the Clevedon man, and the title was won quite deservedly by Maldwyn Evans, a school teacher from the Rhondda.
There it is at the moment, 2 shots to Mal Evans for Wales, unless Ireland's Roy Fulton, with his 4th and final bowl, can disturb that 2 shots lead there. It is match to Evans for Wales. What will Fulton try, Harold? To draw
I think
shot?
he will try and draw a shot. He may try to fire it, of course, if he can see it. He's trying to draw it.
On the backhand. And
He's a good line for
coming in. It's not quite enough green, Harold. And that looks like it to me. I think, yes, Evans, very joyful there, throws his hands in the air, goes over to Fulton, who's given him a very tough match in this particular Welsh-Irish clash. But it's victory for the 11th time for Welsh Mal Evans.
And so with bowling and victories like that, it's Mal Evans, the schoolmaster from the Rhondda in Wales, who takes the gold medal from His Grace the Duke of Norfolk and wins the most coveted title in the game, singles champion of the world.
Our fours did very, very well. They were very, very successful. Norman King, Cliff Stroud, Ted Hayward and Peter Lyne played brilliantly right throughout and won the gold medal in no uncertain manner.
Peter Lyne now with 1 wood left. 1 wood to go for England, 1 for Ireland in this terrific battle. The crowd going literally mad.
The pressure really is on now, with Jimmy Dennison having to save probably the gold medal as well as the game.
A lot of responsibility, Harold, on the
Here comes
head
Peter.
of these 2 captains. Peter Lyne with his last wood. And again he's tried to put in a stopper by the look of it, Harold.
Yes, oh yes, that's to stop the drive.
The final wood then of this match between England and Ireland at the hands of the Irish skip, Jimmy Dennison.
He's missed it.
He's missed it completely.
He's missed it, and England have won.
England have won. 4 shots they have, so they come out the winners of that particular match by 1 shot. 16 shots to Ireland's 15.
So Peter Lyne skipping his team not only to victory in that match against South Africa, but also to the gold medal and the Fours Championship of the World. Peter Lyne, Cliff Stroud, Ted Hayward and Norman King, the world champions in the Fours.
2 years later, it was off to Christchurch in New Zealand for the Commonwealth Games. David kept up his incredible games record by winning the singles, his 3rd consecutive singles gold medal. John Christie and Alex McIntosh won the pairs.
The big match in the pairs featured the New Zealanders, Phil Skoglund and his partner Bob McDonald. The New Zealanders were playing John Evans of Torquay and Peter Lyne from Southampton. And the England pair missed a great chance of the gold when they dropped this, their 2nd match of the games, by just 2 shots, 21-23. Peter Lyne, who won a gold medal in Edinburgh 4 years ago. And despite this sort of firing, the England pair couldn't find the necessary shots they needed. So Scotland had won gold and bronze, and they made it a hat-trick in the singles. Willie Wood, the motor mechanic from Midlothian, bowled intelligently and accurately to beat Dowler of Hong Kong 23-8 after 18 ends, and pushed world champion Mal Evans of Wales out of the bronze medal position. But the day belonged to David Bryant, the 40-year-old man from Bristol who won his first national singles title at Paddington in 1957. He won this title in Perth in '62, the day he faced the veteran Percy Jones of New Zealand. And after an initial shock, he won 21 shots to 8. So it was David Bryant, acknowledged as the greatest bowler in the world, who took the gold medal on a day in which England and Scotland had won 2 golds, a silver and 2 bronze.
In bowls terms, there was a real battle for supremacy between the southern and northern hemispheres, with New Zealand and Australia challenging the UK countries. But South Africa too were out to prove that they were the best, and they had their chance in 1976 when the World Championships were held in Zoo Lake in Johannesburg.
The 3rd World Championship in Johannesburg in 1976 was a very, very special championship. It was absolutely superbly put together. The greens weren't brilliant, far from it, but everything else about it was. Put stands up, which on the finals day accommodated over 10,000 spectators. England did quite well. We came back with a silver medal in the triples. I had a bronze medal in the singles. Our pairs had a medal, and although we didn't have a goal, we couldn't have a goal because South Africa won the lot. They cleared the board completely, and my only satisfaction at the end, I had to play Doug Watson on that finals day in front of 10,000 people, and I managed to inflict his only defeat, 21-10.
We are reaching the time now when TV was beginning to show an interest in bowls, and BBC coverage helped the English Bowling Association launch the Jack High Masters, a marvellous singles event at Worthing.
Dick Falcons is not going to reach.
First under the sponsorship of Kodak, and then of Gateway and Woolwich Building Societies, the Masters lasted 12 years.
Bryant changing to the forehand.
And the winner on 9 of the 12 occasions was none other than David Bryant.
Good delivery from Bryant.
They even got to calling it the Bryant benefit.
Yes, 3 shots this could be the last end of the match. It all depends on this bowl from Falkens.
It could be the last bowl of Dick Falkens here in this tournament at Worthing. Bryant, remember, only needs 2. He's laying 3. It's coming in. Is it weighty? Is it carrying? No, it's gone through. He's lost it. Brilliant try by the veteran American, but it's David Bryant. Yet another title for this master of this game. Bryant, first winner of this new Kodak Masters Bowls tournament here in Beach House Park, Worthing, and a deserved winner.
It's worth having a look at some of the BBC's highlights from the days of the Jack High event.
It's running, it's running, it's running. Bransky's got his hands up, and he's lost it. And Bryant's the champion. Wow, what a finish. A wonderful ball. And Bransky, as I said, was living on borrowed time. Really made a fight of that and produced a real climax to this Masters. But once again, David Bryant is the champion. And there it was, last day, a bit of drama to end another Jack High. £5,500 to David Bryant, unbeaten throughout. Still very much the master at Worthing. And his record is remarkable from the start of it all in 1978, when the Masters began to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the EBA. Bryant, the champion, beating Dick Falkens of the United States. 1979, Bryant, the champion, beating David McGill of Scotland. 1982, champion for the 3rd time, John Snell of Australia, the victim. 1984, Bryant beats Peter Bellis of New Zealand.
In 1985, he beat Cecil Bransky in the final, and in 1987, it was Wyn Richards' turn to succumb.
Without any doubt, Bryant is still the master of the Masters.
History was made in 1978 when David won the Commonwealth Games singles title for the 4th time in succession. Remember, there was an enforced gap in 1966 when Bowles was missing from the lineup in Jamaica. We can show you an interview between Harry Carpenter and David Bryant from Edmonton before the event got underway.
What keeps you going in terms of incentive, wanting to keep on playing and wanting to keep on winning?
Well, it's certainly not as easy, I think, perhaps as getting there. Well, that sounds rather ridiculous, but to get there, to become world champion or Commonwealth champion, you have a ladder to climb. Having climbed that ladder, it's hard to stay there. But I think the enjoyment of playing top-class competitive bowls, the enjoyment of going to various countries and meeting other top sportsmen, I think this is an incentive to stay there.
Have you ever been beaten in the singles in the Commonwealth Games?
Yes, I have. My first Commonwealth Games in 1962, I won all my matches, but I have lost 3 games in Commonwealth Games. I lost 1 at Edinburgh and I lost 2 at Christchurch.
And that would be out of how many?
Well, I can only sort of guess roughly out 47, 48 games.
Now, without any modesty, are you the man they've all got to beat? Are you the favourite?
Well, let's say I'm the holder, and I feel as I've got as good a chance as anybody. But as I say, you know, bowls is the biggest leveller. You've got 4 bowls, the other man's got 4 bowls, anything can happen. And we're playing in Canada, and I expect the Canadian representative's going to have something to say about it, don't you?
Do you really want that gold medal?
I should be trying.
If Bryant achieves another gold, this quiet man will probably permit himself little more than a shy grin by way of celebration. In fact, it will be a remarkable piece of Games history, a story of triumph spanning 16 years.
And of course, David didn't let Harry down. He won 14 of his 15 matches and collected his 4th Commonwealth Games singles gold medal. These shots of what turned out to be a crucial encounter with Australia's John Snell are all we were able to unearth from the archives.
Yes, I missed the next 2 because I turned professional in 1980. The game went open in 1980, and I turned professional, as did several other people, and that, of course, meant that we couldn't compete in the Commonwealth Games. we could compete in lots of other things. There was prize money was appearing on the scene for the first time, so we had, you know, benefits in other ways. But unfortunately, the Commonwealth Games, which had been, how can I put it, my most successful event, was no longer available to me.
Outdoors in 1980, World Bowls returned to Australia, which suited David down to the ground. At Frankston, not only did he walk off with the singles title that he'd first won 14 years before, but he also won the triples title with two youngsters, Jim Hobday and, a name we were to hear a lot more about, Tony Alcock.
I learnt an awful lot. We are very different characters, and to that end, very different style of play. But David taught me a lot about the psychology of the game. He was way ahead of his time with respect to that subject. He knew how to quietly employ gamesmanship whilst it wasn't being noticed. And indeed, he knew exactly what strings to pull to manipulate the situation, to knock the opposition off a rhythm. He certainly knew all those, and I was learning quickly. And of course, I was young, I was fresh, and I had youth on my side. And coupled with the years of experience that had been applied from David onto the advent of youth, made quite a phenomenal combination.
After a lot of English success, it was the turn of the Scots to hit back. David Bryant missed the Commonwealth Games in Brisbane in 1982, and his great friend and rival Willie Wood took advantage to walk off with the singles title.
Exceptionally well with his lead delivery. What a moment for the 43-year-old from Gifford near Edinburgh. Bronze and silver from the Games back at home. Here he goes. He's gone wide, but he's got the arc, has he? Oh! It's running and running and running, but it's there, surely, that's there. It's all over. Willie Wood, gold medalist. Waves to this giant crowd. The Scottish flags and banners are flying just down beneath us here. What a Commonwealth Games it's been for Scotland.
Scotland also won the pairs through John Watson and David Gourlay Sr., and Australia won the fours.
And there it is, gold for Scotland in the pairs here at the victory ceremony in the evening at Maruka. John Watson and the skip David Gourlay, who've caught the imagination of the crowds here with the way they play this game of bowls. They had a fright last night when they lost out to Northern Ireland, came through again today, and there they are, gold for Scotland. Gold in 74, silver in 78, and now Watson and Gourlay bring Scotland gold here in 82.
In the World Championships in Aberdeen in 1984, Peter Bellis won the singles for New Zealand. Stan Espy, Sammy Allen and Jim Baker won the triples for Ireland, and an English quartet skipped by Tony Alcock won the fours. In the pairs, won by the United States, there was a player from Scotland, George Adrain, playing as a substitute, and he won a gold medal. The final of the singles ended in high drama, the score 20-20, and a measure for shot, match and championship. They called for the brand new sonic measure, but it all ended in failure, and they resorted to the handheld measure. Peter Bellis won it and triumphed 21-20. Now for some clips from the Commonwealth Games at Ball Green in Edinburgh. Willie Wood wasn't there because he'd been deemed to be a professional, though just down the road at the Meadowbank Stadium, amateurs like Seb Coe, Steve Ovett and Daley Thompson strutted their stuff.
They were accepting big money that they were putting into this so-called trust fund, and well, they weren't breaking the rules, but they were bending the rules sort of thing, and I had to sit and watch. I had to go out at the end of the day because I had accepted money and there was just no way I could stay in the team.
No point in firing this time. He's got to draw to it and possibly move the jack slightly as well. He's a little heavy, he must be on line. And he's knocked it in and it's all over. Gold to Ian Dickerson of New Zealand.
Wendy Line won the singles for England. But there was an extra surprise in store for Scotland's Henry McCrone when she collected the silver medal. The World Outdoor Championships in 1988 saw David Bryant emerge as a singles champion for the third time, at the expense of Willie Wood, and in the most dramatic way. Willie, who lost 21-20 to Peter Bellis 4 years before, led David 21-12, but the new goal was 25 shots, and David took the lead at 22-21, before Willie levelled the scores at 22-22. And that was when the monsoon started.
And a few visitors from the shorelines here as well.
1988, they changed the rules to 25 shots in the singles, and I was leading my idol again, David Bryant, 21-12. If it had been 21, I would have been the champion, but the heavens opened up and the rain came down and flooded the greens, and we came off at the score was, I think, 22-all, if I remember right, and we were off for an hour and a half, started the game again, and I thought I had played one of the best ends of the whole game.
Well, the talk around the greens during that break is that one player could come out and score 3 shots and it can be all over in one end, which of course would be sad for the other player. But that's the name of the game. Willie Wood has 2, and he still has 2.
We're probably very lucky that the game had advanced as far as it has, because we believe that there may be some more rain about. So at least it'll be nice to reach a conclusion when many of us thought here, if it continued like it was, there's no such thing, we know, but looking like a shared trophy.
Third bowl to Wood. Remember, he won the end prior to the break, so he delivered the jack to his length. David Bryant, can he take the weight off? Both the first bowls, the rain comes down again. He's going to drive. He's going to look to split the 2 shot bowls. Here it comes. Close. Got them both. England have shot.
After the break, in the new conditions, David Bryant comes out and fires like a Bisley marksman. Gets the split. Just look how accurate this was. Wanted both of them and had to get both of them by splitting them like that. And now David Bryant holds the shot.
Willie Wood looking to get it back for Scotland. The crowd will tell you that Scotland have shot.
Well, all sorts of possibilities for David Bryant here. He can fire out the shot bowl and score 1. He can trail the jack and make 3, which I don't need to remind you would give him the World Championship. Or he could settle for drawing the shot.
Bryant going for the shot bowl. Gone. He's got it again, and he's got both the Scottish bowls out. David Bryant is the new champion of the world. What a shot. What a result! David Bryant has won the championship of the world for the 3rd time.
I'd done everything right, and I finished up with no balls on the green. David Bryant didn't even know he had won. He drove, all my balls just went off the green. An incredible shot. More lucky than accuracy, I would say, but that's the way the game goes.
And I decided that as I had 2 balls left, I would drive at the bowls, and if I dipped underneath, I'd get the jack. So I drove at the bowls, and I took the 2 of them off the green, and my own bowl stayed on. So Willie has got 1 bowl on the green, and I've actually got the shot. Not a very good shot, nothing anywhere near the jack. So Willie draws the shot with his last bowl, but he bowls it just short of the jack again. And I look at it and I think, well, if I drive this wood out, I get the shot. If I go underneath and I hit the jack, I might get 3. So I drove it, and I hit it again, and I drove it through onto his other bowl. That took his other bowl out, and my own bowl, and his bowl stopped. And my own bowl followed through, hit his bowl again, and hit it off the green. He didn't have a wood on the green. And I had 3 woods on the green, and that was it.
Pakuranga was not a good hunting ground for UK bowlers when the Commonwealth Games was held in New Zealand in 1990.
Robert Wheel likes it. It's coming back. He's got it perfectly. Oh! What's he done? It's still only 1.
Scotland provided the only bright spot, winning the men's 4s, while Australia's Rob Perella and Papua New Guinea's Giwa Vada Tau won the men's and women's singles titles.
Looks easy, doesn't it? For the first time we see Perella standing up and using that huge aggressive pendulum action, and here goes, it's the big gun at last. So accurate. Hardly ever misses a thing, Perella, with that drive, and believe me, it's not as simple as it looks.
2 years later, when the Women's World Championships were in Ayr and Worthing hosted the men's, Margaret Johnston and Tony Alcock won the 2 singles titles. Scotland's women won the triples and 4s at Ayr, and Scotland's men won pairs, 4s and Leonard Trophy at Worthing. In the men's singles final, Alcock looked down and out when Corsie led 2014, but a spirited fight back saw the Englishman take the lead at 22-20, and we join it when he needs just 2 shots for victory at 23-20.
Well, but needs a couple for the championship. Richard Corsie needs 5, and Richard won't give in. Even though Tony's lead bowl is a pretty good one. Drawing response. Not quite reaching.
Well, that is a bad bowl. It's he's not in the way, but if Tony drops round it, as he may well do, to score another good shot, it's going to be a hindrance to Richard Corsie.
It's a hindrance to Tony Alcock as well.
Yes, it's getting blocked up, but Tony won't mind that. He's got the wood on top of the jack. But if he gets through the port, he's good. Well, he's going to push it up, but doesn't really help a lot.
It's a difficult head for both bowlers now, David.
Yes, it's gradually getting cluttered up. But Tony knows that he holds 1 shot, and with such a difficult head, if he can get another one in, he'll be holding game.
Well, he chose the backhand first 2 bowls, and I feel that if he can find a track outside the short bow, he could get another on there. Backhand it is. Can he thread past his own short bow?
He's done it. He's done it. That's it.
Tony Alcock holding 2 shots. It's a championship winning line.
What a great chance. Very difficult shot for Richard Corsi.
Might he use weight, David?
Well, he's got to try and open it up to give himself any chance at all, I feel. Well, that's the worst result he could have got. Didn't move a thing. Now, Tony has a fantastic chance.
One bowl each left to play. Tony Alcock holding two he needs. May draw a third to give himself one to spare, David, in case one's removed.
Won't want to move anything in front. It's got to be perfect.
A similar line to the previous bowl.
Heavy. Gone around the back in case the jack moves.
Richard Corsi, last bowl of the end. This bowl to stay in the championship.
Well, he's got to get a lot of luck with this. He's better, but he's got to be fortunate if he's going to save the game.
He's outside, so Tony Alcock gets the 2 shots he needs to win the World Singles Championship. He's 25, Richard Corsi 20. What a marvellous game of bowls it was.
What a comeback.
Tony Alcock was 14-20 down and won 25-20.
At the 1994 Commonwealth Games in Victoria, the men's singles final was a repeat of the 1992 World Final. Alcock against Corsi. But first, let's have a look at the women's singles final, in which Margaret Johnston from Ireland faced Rita Jones from Wales.
3 she needs.
Just you got to throw a rower.
Rita Jones skipped her Gilfach Bargoed 4 to the Welsh national title 2 years running. Went on to win the British title. Better length with that one, but missed her line. Still 2 to Margaret Johnston of Northern Ireland.
Can she draw a third and establish a gold-winning lie?
Margaret Johnston lives just down the road from Jackie Smith, the Northern Irish men's singles representative in Macrofelt, and she plays for the Provincial Towns Club indoors at Ballymoney.
And she's holding game.
So a lie of 3 shots for Margaret Johnston.
Oh, half a foot in front.
Enough to take it to 25. And Rita Jones with just 1 bowl left. She must save with this if she's to keep her hopes of the gold medal alive.
Using weight, hoping to make a contact. Does so. Takes 1 out. But Margaret's got a bowl left. And the bowl in her hand can give her Commonwealth gold without right of reply.
Now what Rita was really wanting there, I imagine, was to take the jack through rather than just 1 bowl out. Taking 1 bowl out and leaving Margaret Johnston with 2 shots gives the talented Irishwoman, the world outdoor singles and pairs champion, a marvellous opportunity of winning the game by drawing this bowl to within 18 inches of the jack. Holding 2, needing 3.
She likes it, running after it. Good line.
Easy, girl, easy.
Good weight. She's in.
And a tremendous bowl from Margaret Johnston to finish it off. 3 shots there, a match-winning treble for Margaret Johnston. She adds the Commonwealth title to the World Outdoor Singles title she already holds.
As for that needle match between Richard Coursey and Tony Alcock, it was bubbling along nicely. Coursey had just scored a double to lead 22-20 and needed just 3 shots to win the title. Richard Coursey so keen to reverse the result of the World Outdoor Singles Final at Worthing 2 years ago. In pole position now, 22-20 in front, needing 3 shots for victory. In the final at Worthing, Richard Coursey led 20 shots to 12, and it was Tony Alcock who finished with a marvellous burst and put 13 shots together without reply to win 25-20. Coursey out for revenge.
At this stage leading 22-20. But Alcock holding shot. Stressing again that both the bowlers have preferred this side of the green, forehand in this direction, backhand the reverse direction. And first to control that hand has generally controlled the end.
2 shots to England.
And Tony Alcock holding 2.
Yes, and that last bowl of Alcock, which has faded across, is just as good as the one on the jack. It counts, and it's left a big gap. Nothing really for Richard Coursey to fire at. We know how good he is at that firing shot, but we haven't seen much of it in this men's singles final.
Yeah, they've both been pretty restrained.
Cheers drifting over from the velodrome next door as Richard Coursey tries to get second bowl. And surely does.
And succeeds.
1 shot to England.
And he finishes in a very good position. And Tony Alcock needing to play with a certain amount of care. Switching to the backhand because of the position that bowl finished, that last bowl of Richard Coursey. Springs his own nearer, holding 2.
And that I don't think was in the script.
No, it was route A to the back bowl that Tony intended to play.
So a bit of good fortune there for the Englishman, trailing by 2 shots, but holding 2 shots in the head. Richard Coursey from the Craig and Tinney Club in Edinburgh. Former British junior champion, 3 times world indoor singles champion.
Coursey switching to the backhand, hoping to collar the jack. He's got a bowl waiting if he can. And he has.
A sublime bowl from Richard Coursey, playing a hand he didn't know particularly well.
If he's holding 3, he's holding game, David.
And I think it is 3. We'll wait to see what marker Dave Phillips says. Yes, he's intimated it's 3 shots to Scotland, and the strangulated cheers there tell you that 3 shots mean victory for Richard Coursey, unless Tony Alcock can say something with this final delivery.
Match-winning lie set up with a perfect bowl. Alcock's final reply of the end and of the match if he misses.
He's got the gap, and for the first time we see some emotion from Richard Coursey. He's not the most talkative type, but he jumped in the air then. It was Suzanne who congratulated him first from the crowd. 3 shots, what a way to go out. That trail from Coursey making a treble.
Suzanne, his wife, there in the crowd, delighted with his performance. And it's Richard Coursey who has turned the tables on Tony Alcock. Alcock won the world final 25-20. The same score. Richard Coursey beats Alcock 25-20 and wins the gold medal. And this was the desperate firing shot from Tony Alcock, much wider than we would have expected him to be. Passing all stations, leaving the 3 shots there. Richard Coursey from Scotland is the Commonwealth Games champion.
There he is with young Cameron, his wee son.
In Kuala Lumpur in 1998, John Price was favourite to win the gold medal, but Roy Garden, a relatively unknown Zimbabwean, had other ideas.
So now John Price is looking at saving the match.
Forehand for Price, he must reach. With a trail, he could make 2 shots.
Turned his back on it in disgust, and no wonder. One in, one out. I don't think it's the 3 he needs. Certainly 2, though.
That's a little bit of a let-off for John Price there. It looked as though the Zimbabwean was heading for the match-winning treble. But if Price doesn't save this, then at 24-14, things will look very bleak for him indeed. He's really got to play this on the forehand, hoping to pick the jack up and make 2 shots. Mustn't push Roy Garden up for another one. Oh, he's missed his line again. Well tight.
I don't think he knows what is happening. He's trying as hard as he can, but it just isn't there. 24-14, Zimbabwe 1 shot away from an unexpected gold medal.
And quite apart from the array of champions that Roy Garden has beaten on the way to the final, today will be a day of days for him. Beaten Tony Alcock in the morning, John Price in the afternoon.
So is this to be the final end of the final match of the Lawn Bowls tournament here at Bukit Kiara? The 25th of the match. And the unsung and little known Roy Garden from Zimbabwe, needing just 1 shot to beat one of the world's great singles players. He's got a good opening ball in, and that immediately puts the pressure on Price, who isn't able to respond.
And that's a terrible bowl from John Price. It's a yard short and it's in the draw. He won't be able to play the forehand next time.
The home country's performance here in Kuala Lumpur, not as good as it was in Canada. They won 13 of the 24 medals last time round. This time round, Scotland with 1 gold, Northern Ireland with a gold and a bronze, England just 2 bronzes, and Wales the best with 2 bronzes, a silver in the men's pairs, and it looks very much like another silver here. No gold for the Welsh, unless John Price can do something dramatic with the 2 bowls he has left.
And the head getting worse with every bowl from John Price's point of view. His second bowl was even worse than his first. Fully 2 yards short.
He did have a heavy fall in the shower, which I'm sure he won't use as an excuse, but he's suffering a little bit with a painful arm and hand. I think the heat has definitely got to him today. He looks a very tired bowler this afternoon.
And that was his best bowl of the end so far, but
it was stopped by his own short bowl. Troubles of his own making. Well, unbelievably, it's 4 shots at the moment, it seems, to Roy Garden. He only needs 1 of them for victory, and John Price has 1 bowl left with which to save the match and keep his hopes alive of the gold medal he wanted so badly.
John Price has to save with this bowl. Otherwise, it's another silver. An anxious, almost pained expression in his face, but he's through the gap. A remarkable final, a disappointing final, it has to be said, but certainly not for Roy Garden. A relative unknown has created one of the biggest shocks of the games, one of the biggest in lawn bowls for many years. He has beaten one of the world's great singles players, a sadly out of touch John Price, by 25-14. Wales take silver, but the gold, remarkably, for Zimbabwe.
The 2002 Commonwealth Games was a triumph for Manchester, who provided an impressive arena, and for England, who won 3 golds, a silver and a bronze, after a heavy investment programme by Sport England and a winter training programme supervised by the National Performance Director, Tony Alcock. It also brought success to South Africa's Bobby Donnelly, who came up against Ireland's world singles champion, Jeremy Henry, in the men's final, and for Scotland's world pairs champions, George Snedden and Alex Marshall, who faced England's Dean Morgan and Steve Fairish in the pairs final.
Can they add the Commonwealth title to their world title? Or are the young English pair going to win another gold on home soil?
Harry.
It's not a good ball. Sailing harmlessly past. Words of encouragement from the team management. Alex Marshall been playing at the highest level of the game since his early 20s. Taking his time, making sure the ball is completely dry, the grip is good. Back ball required. Scotland holding the shot. Position they want.
Line outside then. Work now. Work! Work!
Couldn't quite get back. Scotland, of course, will have the last ball of the end.
Benji Farish, move. I'll just try and maybe throw in. Just try and lift that blue one down. Going in.
Yeah, I think he'll go for another shot now. He's got a back bowl in, Dougie. If you can turn George's front bowl in for a second, he'd be in a match-winning position.
Done it on his own.
Brilliant weighted delivery by Alex there, just perfect weight. Past the front pole to the second shot.
Just to remind you, England lead 10-9, so Scotland need 2 to win. 1 would take us into an extra end. If England can score, they win gold. It looks close. Just when he needed a little bit of luck, he didn't get it.
And he hasn't improved the situation either, Doug. He's made it a lot more difficult. He's taking his closest bowl away. Problem for Alex here really is, does he go for a blocker now? Or does he try and cover out on the side where there are a few red balls? May go for the block, I think.
Terrific tension. England lead by 1. Scotland hold the 2 they need. He's in again. He's in again.
Well, personally, Doug, I don't think that's the best ball he's ever put down in his life. It's a great ball, it's a side toucher. But he's given a bigger target for Steve.
Didn't want it that close.
Steve gets a connection on that last ball. He'll get everything. He'll get the 3 blues away.
Wow. What a finish to the final. Steve Farish from Cumbria. His last bowl. He could win the gold with us, or he could lose it. He's driven well all week. He's missed. Well, that was a terrific final, but in the end, it's the world champions. It's George Snedden and Alex Marshall who maintain this astonishing, unbeaten record at the very highest level of the game. 23 matches without defeat in the World Championship in South Africa, and now here in Manchester at the Commonwealth Games. They pick up 3 in the final end. Scotland have won the gold. The final score, 12-10 to Scotland. England have had a great games, but Scotland have the gold in the men's pairs.
All the shots from now on in. Can't afford to drop another one. His opponent is on 20.
He's been winning the battle going in this direction. He's been picking up this line on the forehand better than Bobby Donnelly. He's been... Bobby's wasted at least 2 bowls every end trying to find a line on this 4. Always been playing it too wide with his first and second delivery. It's a very good start by Jeremy Henry to a very long jack. Looks like he's missing with this one. Too pacey. The line was good. You just feel that Bobby's game's just gone off a little bit. He's pegging back with 1 bowl, sometimes out of 4. I just keep expecting Jeremy to lift a 3 or a 4 at some stage.
There's a lot of tension out there at the moment. Very relaxed character normally, Jeremy Henry, but he's feeling it at the moment.
Well, I have to admit it's very, very hard for them. Jeremy, a guy who's normally Very, very laid back about things. Very good temperament.
Bobby Donnelly looking for just one good bowl now to clinch victory. He's got a great try here. Can he pick it up? Yes, he has. Surely that's the shot. Yes, it's 2 inches short of the jack. Jeremy Henry's got a good second bowl in, but that isn't good enough for him. He has to take the shot this end to stand any chance of winning the match, the championship and the gold medal. Great bowl there from Bobby Donnelly, who acknowledges it in traditional style. 1 to South Africa, a championship lie.
Well, it is, and Jeremy Henry's still got chances, of course. That's his own bowl. The blue one, he just wants to tap off that. I can't say it's easy because it's not. The forehand, if you go a little bit wide, goes straight on you. The backhand, well, the backhand might be the one to play with weight on this occasion. The danger is of pumping the short ball onto the jack and they both land in the ditch.
And of course it is a toucher, David. Now we get letters about touchers. Why do markers mark the bowl with chalk if they strike the jack? Well, this is a good indication. If the toucher goes into the ditch, it remains alive, and Jeremy Henry will be well aware of that. It's a risk he takes by playing weight on the backhand.
Well, it's the right shot to play because he really has to attack this. He knows if he can edge the ball off, he's got a chance. He's good at these big drives. Oh, just off it. And I would suggest that Bobby Donnelly would be well advised to start thinking of a blocker here. Didn't miss it by much, but a short ball in the way. Oh, that would make life very difficult. And remember, Bobby Donnelly's got 2 balls left.
Well, the more observant viewers may have noticed a blue bowl appear at the bottom of the picture just now. It was Jeremy Henry's bowl bouncing off the bank and coming back onto the green. Well, it hadn't touched the jack in its original course, so that has been removed. It was a dead bowl. So there are no really good back bowls at the moment. This is Bobby Donnelly going for that blocker, we think.
Oh, he certainly is.
Oh, this will only be halfway down the rink. He needs to bend a little more.
That's not going to do anything. The backhand's still open with that. The ball only has to travel 14 metres to be in play. And Jeremy Henry, well, Jez, you've no choice. You have to go again. It's not a happy position. It really is not.
I mean, the other problem, David, for Jeremy here is if he does hit the jack in pass, the bowl in passing, it's likely to lock in on Jeremy's nearest bowl and push that out.
It's a nightmare position.
It is.
It's so difficult. He has to go for it. Sometimes whenever you've got a situation like this, the decision's almost made for you because you know you have to play the shot with weight and just pray that you hit it and get a good result.
Yep. First of all, you've got to hit it. That's number one. And then you just cross your fingers and hope that the result goes your way. It's likely to go against him, I have to say. If the toucher goes into the ditch, he'll be shot against. If the toucher hits against his own second bowl, he will lose the shot. This is his last chance, his last hope of staying in the championship. He's assured the silver medal. He'd like the gold. Playing with much less weight, playing with controlled weight. If he gets this, it'll be a brilliant delivery, and it's very close. Oh, missed the jack by an inch, and Bobby Donnelly celebrates. His both arms went in the air then when he realised that Jeremy Henry, the young world champion, had missed in his attempt to steal the shot back. The 39-year-old Commonwealth Games debutant, Bobby Donnelly, wins the...
England's success in the 2002 Commonwealth Games at Manchester didn't just happen. Sport England has to be thanked for their contribution in supplying the money to make lots of things possible. Now, Tony Alcock, of course, has to be recognised for his contribution because he organised everything and did it so well. And, you know, a lot of hard work was put in. You know, gold medals just don't happen. They have to be won, and everything was done very, very professionally. And I think, you know, that's the way for the future.
We hope you've enjoyed the clips of action from the outdoor game. Part 2 is devoted to the development and growth of the indoor game, and in particular the World Indoor Singles Championship.